Hello everyone, my name is Sir Snurfle, and this is a YouTube video about what you may ask. It's about furnaces. Now, ever since one of the earliest versions of Minecraft 1.3, furnaces have given you experience for smelting an item. If I put in some ore and I pull out the ingot, I would get some experience points. But as of a more recent update in 1.13, the aquatic update, XP is now stored in furnaces. What that means is that if an item is pushed into the system using a hopper, and then is smelted and then pulled out of the furnace using another hopper, then the XP that you would be given for pulling that item out is stored in the furnace and is given to you the next time you pull out a different item. Meaning if you smelted 100 items and then pulled out the last one, you'd get the XP for all 100 smelted items. Following this train of thought, Xisuma recently let out a video depicting his vision for how this would work. Under his idea, we would have a cactus farm and a bamboo farm, which would both be fully automatic and supply the smeltable item and the fuel, respectively. That's kind of the easy part. The hard part is setting up a system by which we can restrict the number of items that are smelted in each cycle. Generally, we would want to have the cactus flow in, smelt a certain number of them, and then stop the system by freezing this bottom hopper so that no more items can be pulled out. And then give us a little indicator lamp that tells us that it is ready for us to pull the experience out of it. And then have a little reset button that can reset the whole system once we are finished and pull the items out of it. He then asked the community to go to work to try to set this up. And so this is what I've done, and I'm going to just show you the different components of my final product broken down into the 4 circuits that he depicted in his video. The blue circuit is fairly easy, and its job is to dump the smelted items. It turns out that Xisuma doesn't care too much about having a shitload of cactus green just filling up the chests, and so instead, when the item falls into this hopper and then moves down into this dropper, we'd like for it to be immediately dispensed, maybe into lava, into a water stream, or something else to get it out of the way. The way that we're going to achieve this is pretty simple. Whenever an item is smelted, it will go through this hopper. That will let out a comparator signal that will power this block, powering this, powering that, being carried by this repeater on 4 ticks, and then we'll power this dropper, and we'll drop it. Meaning, whenever an item flows through with 4 ticks of delay, it will trigger this dropper. You have to make sure that you actually have it on 4 ticks of delay. Otherwise, you'll end up powering this dropper while the item is still in the hopper, subsequently freezing this hopper and making the entire system lock up. Bad news. Second is the purple circuit, and the role of the purple circuit is to count the number of items that have been smelted by the furnace. It does so using initially the signal that is let out by this same comparator. So whenever an item is smelted, it goes through the hopper, lets out the comparator signal, and then we steal that comparator signal not to power the dropper, but instead to power this dropper. Now what happens is every time an item goes through here, it gets shot out of this dropper. And then it makes its way up into this hopper, to this hopper, and then down and gets stuck in this hopper because this hopper is powered and thus frozen. And so if you have, in this case, 64 items smelted, then all 64 of these will end up stuck in this hopper. And when it does this, it will stop, this dropper will stop giving a comparator output because it will be empty. We then attach that we invert the signal and attach it to a falling edge monostable circuit, just so that we get a small quick pulse. And this small quick pulse is the way that we know that we have counted, or that we have smelted, the number of items that we want. And we set that number by just filling in that number of items into this dropper, which means that we can have anywhere from 1 to about 600, which is just 64 times 9. Of course, we need to actually do something with the signal that we get from the purple circuit, and that is the role that the green circuit serves. What it does is freeze the machine once we have smelted the number of items that we want. The way this works is once we get this output, which is this repeater turning on, i.e. once we have smelted the number of items inside of this dropper, then that will be detected by this observer rail or observer line, and it will move this piston, which will then power this piston, which will then power this block, and do two things. One, it will give us a little LED indicator that our items have been finished smelting, and it will also power this green block, which will freeze this hopper, which will stop the entire system. In doing so, it will also unfreeze this hopper, meaning that the items can now make their way back into the dropper, so that by the time that we press the reset button and start doing this again, the entire system will be reset. Finally, we need a way to reset the machine. Once we pull the items out of the furnace, get our experience, we want it to go back to normal. This is what the yellow circuit is for, and we do it just by pressing this button. When we press this button, it causes this dropper to push an item into this hopper, and that hopper then pushes the item back into the dropper, meaning that we just give out a comparator signal while the item is in the hopper, which is very short. It's just a way to shorten the pulse of the button. So we give a very short pulse that is noticed by the observer and then carried into a, this needs to be on 2 ticks, a repeater that then powers this piston, and that would then cause it to pull the block back, because usually the redstone block would be spat out from the system being turned on, and then it would pull it back to turn off the system by freezing this hopper and removing the redstone block from this area. Now, I chose to design this the way I did for a variety of reasons. Primarily, it was motivated by Xizuma's video and the fact that I wanted to satisfy all of his requests, which is that there is this LED lamp with a button for resetting, and it being 2-wide tileable. And this 2-wide tileableness is the reason why I'm using things like observers rather than redstone lines, because redstone lines couldn't be stacked up next to each other, but these observer lines can. But even with this, there is some minor maneuvering shenanigans that need to be done in order to make this truly 2-wide tileable. And I have done that over here. So you'll see that this is 2-wide tileable, but it requires some inversions. It's not redstone lamp, furnace, redstone lamp, furnace. That, in fact, would not work given the current setup. It has to be set up like this, and we have to slightly alter the setup of some of our modules. And the way that that works is every second module, instead of having just one repeater right here, we actually need to expand that out, push it further back, put another repeater, and then start the rest of the circuit one more block back. I will give a world download in the description so that you can come look at all this. This is just the process of when I was testing everything out. This is the final product. I'll put it in a big box and everything, just so you can see what it looks like to shove them together. But anyway, it basically just requires doing one of the altered modules with 2 repeaters next to one with a single repeater. And then I just set up the destruction by having all of the items go into this little thing of lava. But you can do that however you want, or you can have this be a chest if you actually want to keep the cactus green or whatever you're using. But yeah, if you want to see more on how to actually make a farm out of this, I recommend that you check out Xisuma's video, which will be obviously linked in the description, since this is really just an entry for his little competition. Sorry, challenge. This is about #community. Plus, I saw that Ilmango just uploaded an entry, and I know that by the power of Lord Mojang, I would not be winning that competition. I just saw the thumbnail, and it looked one wide tileable, and I didn't see a lamp, but either way, I'm really not liking my odds. Oh, right, unpausing the video. Yeah, right. But anywho, yeah. Hopefully, this made some sense, and you'll be able to work off of the little schema that I have given. But if you have any more specific questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments or on my stream or in person in the grocery store. I live by Trader Joe's. Come check me out. Anywho, I've been Snurfle, and hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.